Welcome to the Thriving Mayor Show, the weekly broadcast featuring former and current mayors who are thriving, sharing their story, insight, wisdom, and viewpoint. Join us and comment on social media as we meet another of the superheroes we elect to lead the rejuvenation of our towns and cities and who serve us all. Visit www.thrivingmayor.com to learn more. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. It's January 27th, 2021. I'm Michael Hubicki, host of the Thriving Mayor Show. And today I'm really honored and happy to have as my guest, Mayor Mitch Panciuk, my summertime mayor from the city of Belleville, Ontario, on the beautiful Bay of Quinte. Good morning, Mitch. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Mike. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. I moved to Belleville this summer, living on the boat at Crates Marine. Love the city, love the farmers market, the waterfront, the Bay of Quinte, Sandy Cove. The last mayor that I had on the boat was Mayor Henderson in Cobourg during Sail Pass when I was the Commodore at Cobourg Yacht Club. So hopefully once the pandemic's behind us, we'll be able to enjoy some time out in Bay of Quinte together.
Well, for sure. And I would just say that you did not see us at our best. Belleville is a wonderful community on the water during COVID times, but we're so much better during normal times. And I know that we'll look forward to having you be able to see all the folks that are in our fine city, our friendly city, and all the activities that we really missed this past summer.
Yeah. I'll just give everybody a little quick summary about you, Mitch. So Mitch was elected the 76th mayor of Belleville on October 22nd, 2018, after serving one term as a Belleville Ward City Councillor. He's the owner of Belleville's Boston Pizza restaurant and brings an entrepreneurial mindset and experience to the office of mayor. He's also past president of the Belleville Chamber of Commerce, past chairman and 6-year board member of the Quinte Economic Development Commission, a former vice president of the Belleville Agricultural Society, and past president of the Bay of Quinte Basketball Officials Association. Quite an illustrious CV, and that's just really in Belleville. So, Mitch, give us a little bit of the background that led up to you moving to the community of Belleville.
Yeah, well, back in the late 90s, I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, and I was working there, and I made a decision one day that I wanted to start to work for myself rather than just work for others. And so I looked around for some different opportunities, and Boston Pizza started in Edmonton in 1963. So it's pretty established. At that time, it was very established out west, very dominant in Western Canada. And I knew some people that were part of it as franchisees, and I said, well, I think if they can do it, I think I could do it. And so I looked into it. Unfortunately, the market was very saturated out west, and the real opportunities were in Ontario. Yeah. They had just started to, at that time, open up restaurants. So we were the 14th, I believe, in 2001 to open here in Belleville. And now we have, pre-COVID, I think we had about 130 in Ontario. Wow. We've had a couple that have not survived so far, just like everybody else's business. But it's going to be 20 years this year for us here. And it's amazing how the time has gone by.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that 20-year milestone. And I know a restaurant business is a tough business to be in. And having that, I love your mindset. If they can do it, I can do it. And where do I have to go to make it happen? So moving from Edmonton to Belleville, that's really fantastic. So the entrepreneurial mindset, that's a beautiful growth mindset. How is that translating now into what you're doing, your vision for Belleville, and what you're doing kind of on your day-to-day mayoral journey? Yeah,
personally, and I think I was sort of taught this by Jim Treliving, one of the founders of Boston Pizza. People know him from Dragon's Den a lot. But, one of the things that was instilled upon me is that you cannot have a good business in a bad community, meaning that if you want your business to survive and to thrive, you really need to help make your community as good as it can be. So that's always been my call to involvement, whether it be with organizations like the Chamber of Commerce or through our donation program through the restaurant. I always felt that. And I think that as I tried to help and improve my community, it became a natural sort of path to get elected and to try to make some decisions that are better for us than the long term. Selfishly, it's better for my business in the long term as well. But at the same time, it's an opportunity to really make some positive changes. So I ran, I got elected, I got more familiar with the process. I saw some things that I didn't think we were approaching in the right direction, and it just was the next step for me to run for mayor. And it has been incredibly rewarding to be able to finally take some action on some issues that for decades and decades and decades had been had not happened. That may have been because of a lack of political will or courage, or just the community may not have been ready for it. But nonetheless, it's nice to see that progress. That's why I went into I get involved with organizations, is to make a difference and to move it forward for a short period of time in my life, and that's where I am.
Yeah, that's great. This summer during COVID, quite often we would walk from the boat up through downtown, and the main street. The main that was my career for 31 years, was downtown development and waterfront development, and I really admire what Belleville's done with the downtown, the main street, and even some of the side streets with the streetscaping, and trying to create a platform, a place where you can really animate it, where the businesses can spill out onto the sidewalks, where people can walk. And this summer during COVID, I really admired the way that you took the street and you closed it to half the traffic, put up the barricades, and there was a public art installation for, I think, over a month, which was interesting in the day and at nighttime with the fluorescent lights. And it was really spectacular. And I wish more people could see that, how creative that Belleville was, and to try to, in such, harsh conditions, to try to create this environment, this entrepreneurial environment for the citizens to thrive and the businesses to thrive. So my hat's off to you on that.
Well, we can't take all the credit for it. The Downtown Business Improvement Association, the BDIA for us here in Belleville, really was active. They did not let COVID stop them. It was too easy for everyone to say, hey, this is a once in a lifetime or once every 100-year pandemic, and let's just go into a hole and cry. We said, no, we're not going to allow that to happen, and we stepped up. So what you're talking about is that Prismatica display.
Yes,
they rented, and we helped. But the province of Ontario allowed us to do something this year that they never allowed us to do before, which was to expand licensed areas outside. And so we were able to expand patios onto the city street. And it went really, really well. And I hope that the Ontario Liquor and Gaming Commission will continue to permit us to do it. I don't believe there were any incidents in Ontario where people had behaved recklessly or businesses had behaved recklessly. So, let's hope that something good comes out of COVID, and that is that we want to have people outside. The other thing I would also say is that, in spite of COVID, we had the third highest occupancy rates for our hotels in the country.
Wow.
And we had the lowest case counts, some of the lowest case counts. For most of the summer, all of summer we were in green here in Ontario. Some of the lowest numbers per capita in Ontario, and we still are right now. Today I think we are either the second or the lowest health unit region, and that speaks to the fact that we were being careful. We had people coming in, but we were being careful. Our businesses, our residences, our restaurants were being very responsible, and we helped flatten that curve.
Yeah, and our marinas.
And the marinas, absolutely. And this was a year for people to rediscover our backyards. And so for us, with everything that was going on, we thought it was really important to keep our parks and our recreation and our outdoor items, our activities going. And in fact, we saw a lot of things that were missing. So this year will be another year where we make good capital investments in expanding our playgrounds and our parks and our outdoor space to improve sort of quality of life for our residents.
You're building on a legacy an outstanding legacy of trails and park space, open space. The waterfront accessibility in Belleville is really second to none. I've been in a lot of communities where I was hired to come in to try to figure out how do we even visually make a connection for residents from where they are in town out to the water, let alone having kilometers and kilometers of beautiful trails. And it's really spectacular.
Well, our predecessors left us a wonderful city, and now it's time for us to do our part to make it even better. It's been over 20 years since we've expanded that riverfront or that Bayshore Trail, and that'll happen this year. We're looking at adding more kilometers of trails, and eventually, I'd like to see a ring around the whole city, where people can get on and off these active transportation trails and to really enjoy it. Coming from Alberta, as I had said earlier, you're lucky to get 2 or 3 months of summer or good outdoor weather all year. Here in Ontario, we only have a couple of months that we can't really use the outdoors as much, and so our trails can be, improved and expanded. And we're going to do it. We also want to make sure we link the whole city, because right now, north of the 401 acts really like a barrier for us. So we have plans to get across and have our active transportation link the entire city.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that. And being a boater, I also get a really unique perspective on the city to be able to go out and anchor out and look at the city and the rolling hills and behind. And yeah, it's such a beautiful setting. I lived in Winnipeg for 3 years. I went to University of Manitoba, so I understand the cold winters. And I recall reading an article about how Winnipeg is creating outdoor dining, almost like cocoons. And I'm wondering if I don't think we need to do that here, but I'm wondering about do you and do Belleville, the Downtown Business Association, Improvement Association, have plans to kind of try to look at opportunities like that?
The short answer is yes. We've got some property owners that are looking at some new and innovative ideas. Certainly, Winnipeg, Edmonton. There are a lot of European cities that have longer winters that they find a way to deal with it. And so, the one challenge that municipalities have is that we can lead a horse to water, but we can't make it drink. Meaning that private property owners are required to actually step up and take some action on it. Our winter facilities, they're open. People can use them, but we're not in the business of running restaurants and running, the businesses. So we have a couple that are looking at it. We're very supportive, and whatever we can do to help facilitate that, we'll do. I think there is a new spirit or a new attitude at Belleville City Hall when it comes to development and willing to try to experiment. We want to find a way to say yes. Yeah. And that is a big difference. And when the community knows that we want to find a way to say yes, they feel a lot more willing to invest the time to come up with good ideas. And I think we'll see something next winter for sure.
That's really awesome. So speaking of saying yes, who did you first tell that you were going to run for mayor, and what was their reaction?
Well, obviously, my wife and I had spoken about it for a long time, but I think I told our staff at the restaurant first that I was going to do it. I wanted to prepare them because it's obviously a different role. Having been on council, you're involved, for sure, but you're not the focus as much as you are when you step into the mayor's job, and that was a little bit of a, I don't want to say surprise to me, but I underestimated that part of it. And then once you get into an issue like COVID, where there is much more isolation because people are being asked to stay at home, we're being careful. We don't meet as much. We don't interact as much, and I think the focus for all of us as mayors is it's been difficult. So it makes us feel more isolated. And whenever I get together and we have conversations with mayors, we all talk about how we really don't like this time, not just because of COVID, but we also don't like the fact that we're isolated. But some good things have come from it, and certainly I think it really highlights the importance of the relationship or the chemistry between the mayor and the CAO for the city. Because those of us who have good CAOs that were working well together were, I think, really dealing well with this. But it's also shown where there is some friction and some problems where council hasn't taken the action they should have prior to COVID to make sure that everyone's on the same page moving forward, and that there's a level of respect and professionalism that's necessary.
Yeah. Great. Congratulations. When you ran for mayor, what was it a slam dunk, or was it a kind of a hotly contested campaign? Or take us back to election night and kind of the emotions, if there was a roller coaster, or was it a kind of a foregone conclusion?
Well, it wasn't a foregone conclusion for me. A lot of people had said it was, but Canadians are polite people. And I don't want to say they'll lie to us as politicians, but they won't tell us the full truth.
Yeah.
And so they appreciate the fact that you come to their door, that you ask them for your support and whatnot, but it doesn't mean it will actually translate. So throughout the whole campaign, I had very good response at the doors and at events, and I felt good about it. Yeah. But you never know. And so on election night, I don't say I was surprised. I had no expectations. I knew it was only going to be one of two things. I was either going to win or I wasn't going to win. And I was prepared to deal with both situations. Yeah. But it was, I think, a healthy margin, and people wanted change. Yeah. One of the big things that I've seen over the years is that a lot of people want to be mayor just to be mayor, whereas I want to use this opportunity to make positive change for the city. So I had developed a pretty extensive policy platform. We put it out. It was available to people, and I have it on the wall in my office. And we check off things as we move along, and we're making good progress. But for me, running in the election was about talking about the future of our city and what we can do over that next 4-year period. Again, I don't make decisions on what's going to elect me or re-elect me. I try to make what I think are the best decisions. I know this is a fleeting, short period of time in my life. And if this is the only opportunity I have in this, I'm good with that. I just want to make sure that I have no regrets and I leave it all out on the field, so to speak, and we make good progress.
Yeah, that's really interesting. You and I spoke a little bit about legacy before, and I really like your frame how you talk about legacy and how you live your legacy and your well-being, but also the contribution that you're looking at leaving for Belleville and the residents, and kind of we talked a little bit about how we have to be patient.
Yeah, legacy is kind of a loaded term in the sense of it makes you have these grand visions of buildings named after you, or someone comes back and says Abraham Lincoln, the Emancipation Proclamation. What's the legacy? I think that all political people, but also especially mayors, should think about what kind of city do they want to leave after their time. And you're not going to leave a perfect city, and you're not going to leave a completed city. There will always be work that has to be done. So you're a temporary custodian or a steward of the city for a period of time. And so for me, a part of it was resolving issues that have been long unresolved in our community. And every city has those, every town has those, every community has those. So dealing with some of those items that had not been resolved. Also setting the city for future growth. And that may be everything from infrastructure, but also to processes and methods that we update how we make decisions. And the last thing is, correcting wrongs. And what I mean by that is dealing with issues of underrepresentation, of poverty, of folks that are vulnerable, because when we can lift people who are have the least opportunity, it makes for a better community. And that goes back to one of my original comments. You cannot be a good mayor in a bad community. So you need to do a good job to raise up the community, and then that will be your success. And success is not measured in 4-year cycles. Again, I didn't run to be just to occupy the chair and to stay in office as long as I could.
Yeah.
I ran because I have an agenda of items that I want to see action taken on. And so far, we have accomplished a great deal. We're well on our way to completing everything that I had talked about. And in some ways, it may not have been ambitious enough. But, I want to use this opportunity to provide the leadership to make positive change for a future Belleville that I will continue to live in and continue to have a business in.
Wow, that's awesome. And again, that shows an incredible resiliency that during COVID-19 and the pandemic to be able to keep forging ahead to your vision, which was very nicely articulated in your campaign platform. And I love the way that you've had it posted there as kind of the roadmap. This is where we're going. If we don't know where we're going, we can take any road to get there. So it's
Michael, COVID is a great example of a complete hijack of the process. We all started off 2020 with big aspirations, the beginning of a new decade, and we had plans. And, we had gone through our capital budget process, deciding what projects we would have in 2020, but we had not yet got to the operating budget. And then COVID came in and hijacked everything. And so we had to make a number of decisions to protect the safety and security of our residents, but also to ensure that the services they count on that we provide would be maintained throughout the pandemic. We had to work with our staff, we had to work with our residents, we did all that. We had to make decisions, and then we had to change those decisions. And if you don't have an idea of where you want to go, you can very easily go off track. We were able to continue to focus on all those capital improvements. We did improve some of our services, particularly our online services that we had to through COVID. But at the same time, in 2020, we delivered a negative tax increase.
Wow.
With all those competing issues, we delivered a negative tax increase. And we did that by finding a way to say yes to doing things differently. I think innovation is a real overused buzzword. Innovation doesn't mean something that is, revolutionary and changes everything. Being innovative is being willing to look at alternatives and then be able to take action on it. And I think that that's why I go back to that other issue about the CAO and the mayor and council and how they have to be on the same page. There has to be good chemistry. There has to be good confidence in them during the best of times. But during a very difficult time like COVID, it becomes even much more important.
Yeah, I guess with the increased isolation and working more alone, that is really accentuated, isn't it? That those important relationships, those close relationships, if there's not that strong chemistry there and communication, they could be the pinch point in the whole process and cause some serious stress. So that's amazing, and congratulations on that as well. Just shifting gears a little bit, you were on the Agricultural Society, and I'm wondering what led you to decide to join the Agricultural Society, and what is the relevance of that to the city of Belleville?
Well, our Ag Society here is the third oldest in Canada, or second oldest in Ontario. We're going to be having the 200th anniversary of the Belleville Agricultural Society in 2021. So lots of history. And when I came here, I love history. I love knowing where we come from. And I love the activities. Belleville is a unique community in that we have the best of both worlds. We have a sophisticated and well-developed urban portion of the city, but we also have a lot of folks who still make their livelihood working on farms, whether it be cattle or cash crops or whatnot. And so the Ag Society really is about showcasing not just the history of that, but also what's going on today and providing opportunities for commercial activities for those farmers. And whatnot. For 200 years, people get together every year to come and show off their vegetables they've grown, or what they've made with the food that they've grown, or equipment and animals and whatnot. So it's sort of continuing that tradition. When I joined the Ag Society, there were some challenges. The world has changed in the sense of what they used to do really, really well with the annual fall fair was starting to struggle. Midways are not the future for ag societies. It's a focus on agri-food and agricultural activities. So part of what my campaigned on was to move them from an area of the city where they've been for over 60 years, and the city's pretty much grown around them, where they used to be on the outskirts, to a new location where they can have a new lease on life for the next 200 years.
Yeah.
And so I'm really, really proud of that. And I'm proud of the fact that we have a community that is a combination of urban and rural. And I think our kids really can stand to learn a lot about where food comes from and what is good food, and learn about nature.
Yeah, that's great. Being a landscape architect, the local food production, stewardship, sustainability was always an underpinning of my project work, and dealing with going into communities and working hand in hand with the local residents. Near the end of my my career and working downtowns, people were saying, well, can we take part of the road and have pollinator gardens? Or can we have some vegetable gardens, or just some flowers, maybe some perennials? Can we take out this turf, which is a totally sterile monoculture, and put in some perennials, which are going to give us even some visual interest in the winter? Yeah. And this summer, we almost every weekend we'd walk up to the farmers market right attached to City Hall in a beautiful timber frame structure, and we'd buy organic goat cheese and all the local produce. Could get falafels handmade right there, so it's really incredible. We see the kids with their parents understanding. Oh, these are people that live here. They drive their truck. They're parking their truck right there, and they're taking the produce right out of the back. It still has the dirt on it. Yeah. So it's really a beautiful experience, I think, for the kids too.
And if you went across to Myers Pier and you walked along, you would have seen a lot of our flowers are actually vegetable gardens. So we cultivate that ourselves as a city, and we donate that to the Gleaners Food Bank, where we've given hundreds and hundreds of pounds of food. And we have community gardens in the area now where people, including folks that are on boats, can rent them, and they can grow their own vegetables there. And again, I think society is changing. We're seeing the benefits of green roofs and making sure that we do good work. I believe Toronto now, the City of Toronto, has minimum percentages where they require new buildings to have rooftop gardens on their buildings. It helps with maintaining. It helps keep some of the water out of the waste, the stormwater system, which is cheaper for us as municipalities. Yeah. But at the same time, it helps to feed us. And again, I just think it's a great lesson to show our children about where food comes from, how hard it is to grow it, that it doesn't come from the grocery store. You actually get it from a farmer, and why farmers are so important to our community.
Yeah. Someone had told me that they had, as they went on their daily walk down past Myers Pier, that they would quite often grab a couple of vegetables, but I didn't know that the city was donating it to the food bank, so I'll pass that along.
No, it's good, and we're going to see more of those as we do our. We have a wonderful horticultural department here for the city, and they do great work. And I'm sure you noticed the beautiful flowers that we have, and probably one of the most well-known things is when people drive on the 401 and they see that lovely Canadian flag. Yeah, flowers in that to make sure that. It's beautifully red and white, and as people see it on the 401.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest floral arrangement that I can recall ever seeing. And so the city of Belleville plants that every year.
Yeah, so we have staff that start. I have this last year. One of the things I tried to do was do my updates for residents about COVID-19, and we would go to different parts of the city to be able to show people, the different components of the city. In April, we started. Well, actually, we went to the greenhouses where we grow all those flowers.
Neat.
For that, and met the staff and talked about it. They'll be starting to plant them very, very shortly, so that they're ready to go for May.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know the city had its own greenhouses too. Yeah. The Do the city, do you know what the plans are for the ag lands? I think they're on Sydney Street.
Yeah, so we just completed that. We made that announcement, I believe, in November. We're going to be moving them to an area north of the city. We purchased some property, and we're going to give some of the to the agricultural society, and some of it we're going to service and then sell off. So the existing area will be a community development. So yesterday or this week, I announced that we will be having on one side of Sydney Street there a grocery store will be going in there, as well as a restaurant, and then some housing will be built there. The other side, where we have about 22 acres of land, will be the site of the new YMCA that'll be built there. There'll be an outdoor recreation facility with an outdoor rink and basketball courts and splash pad and playground and some other things. And for the rest of it, we're not sure, but I would expect that it'll be mixed development. We need some more retail in that part of the city that's underserviced, but also we need housing. You know, Belleville is a high growth community where it is becoming more and more difficult. We have what I call a housing crisis, where people cannot afford to stay here or can't afford to move here unless they've retired and cashed out on a big price for their house in the GTA.
Nest egg, yeah.
So, you know, we're really focusing on rental housing and providing a financial incentive. You know, we are one of the first communities to go with the community improvement plan to provide financial incentives to builders and developers for rental housing. More rental housing will mean what you're seeing today in Toronto with the exodus. Prices will actually regulate. They'll go back down to more normal levels. When you don't have supply, it puts a lot of upward pressure on that. So that site will be a mixed development, but it'll be something that's going to benefit the whole city. Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to that. That's within walking distance of the marina.
Yes.
That's quite often that's on a walking loop. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you do with that property. It's a great opportunity, and also the improving accessibility to affordable housing is absolutely critical to cities and downtowns, you know, in order for all of us to thrive. And so congratulations on that. Can you share with us maybe over the last couple of years one of the funniest memories that you have at a council meeting, or maybe going out to a public event? Or
you know, that's a hard one. You didn't ask me to think about it before, Michael. You know, I think there've been a lot of funny activities where people are making jokes, and we've had there haven't been any real embarrassing issues that you would look back and say that you're horrified about. You know, certainly I've had lots of experiences, including conducting an orchestra for the mayor's week for the arts, where the Quinte Symphony, we had a concert for the arts, and the Quinte Symphony allowed me to go up and conduct that. That's a lot harder than it looks. But I
wouldn't want to do that.
Well, it's standing in front of 700 or 800 people during a mayoral debate. It's something that no one wants to do, but you get through it, and you get through all the different parts of the job. But I would say that, you know, it's been a lot of fun. I like people. I like meeting people. I like hearing about their experiences. I think that's why I gravitated to the restaurant business, where you have an opportunity to meet all kinds of different people and talk to them. And I think that's why politics is enjoyable for me. If you don't like that part of it, if you would rather be an administrator, you know, everyone's different, I guess. Yeah. I'm not that kind of guy. And I tried not to have what I call tower disease. Belleville City Hall has a big tower. Yeah. When it was built in the 1870s, it was built with a large clock tower. And if you sit under my office is right below that clock tower. And if you're in this office all the time, and you're only talking to city staff, and you're being a bureaucrat, you get what's called tower disease. Tower disease is when you lose perspective and you lose focus on what is right. And you typically spend a lot of your time explaining to residents why they're wrong about what they think. So I certainly don't want to catch that disease, and I try to get it as much as possible. It is really difficult during COVID times because, again, we don't have the events that we can go to and talk about. So it really takes a conscious effort. But that's why I still, you know, we have lots of Zoom meetings, and I talk to residents on the telephone and interact with them as best we can. And then during the summertime, when we can be outside, it's great to be able to have in-person, safe conversations from a distance. Yeah.
Well, speaking of connecting with people and using new technologies, I can't thank you enough, Mitch, for joining me on the Thriving Mayor Show today. And like every mayor that I've talked to, it's just showing the rest of us how to embrace that growth mindset and that never say no. And if they can do it, I can do it. And as a leader, it's super inspirational. So hopefully, we'll this message we can convey this out and share it. It's wonderful, and we can't thank you enough for being another amazing mayor and helping it lead the rejuvenation of the city of Belleville.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too. Thanks, Michael.
I just want to mention that next week on the show, we'll be featuring George Cuff, who's a 3-time former mayor and an author. And he and his daughter have just written a new book called Trevor Goes to City Hall. And it's a kid's book. And I can't wait to talk to George about it. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for joining the Thriving Mayor Show. Make sure to like and share and tell your friends and colleagues. Mayors are awesome and are the change agents to enhance the quality of living for over 80% of us. Remember what Coach Wooden said, you cannot live a perfect day without doing something for someone who can never repay you. Much love and peace. Until next time.